Europe at all cost. It's a do or die affair for hundreds and thousands of Africans risking their life on the Mediterranean Sea, searching for a better life abroad. Many have lost their life in the process. Many are still undertaking the deadly journey. Who is to be blamed for this rise of African migration to Europe in search of pastures green? Past decades, lots of Africans have been leaving Africa, traveling to Europe via sea. And most often, this journey involves crossing over the Mediterranean Sea, and they undertake this journey from Africa, from neighboring countries like Morocco and Tunisia, that is quite close to Italy and Spain. But the journey in itself is not safe. In fact, it's a death trap. The question is, who is to be blamed for this upsurge of Africans migrating abroad at the expense of their own lives? There are many media reports that has tried to shed more light on this. Some are blaming the European Union for being slow in terms of response when emergency situation is reported. The EU runs an NGO known as Frontex, which is responsible to protect our migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. But most often, when reports are being made, our response is quite slow. The Tunisian government, Libyan government, as well as the Moroccan government have been blamed for slow response. Italian government as well concerning this issue. But then, should we solely put the blames on the international organization as to why most of our African brothers are dying on sea? Who is to be blamed? That is a question. I'll call on you to watch on and see what Africans themselves living abroad, especially in Italy, has to say about this phenomenon.
What we see in Africa is portrayed on, by the TV, by the social media, call it Facebook, whatever.
Right.
The images we see there are disillusional. This create false conception in the youth. We are talking about youth who think that what they see on the movies they watch in their poor conditions are actually true of Europe. It's a disillusion. When they arrive here, they feel that it's not the dreamland. This is the fiasco that has become a generational stuff,
right.
And that is much of the time we are not talking about only labor drainage. We are also talking about brain drainage because
right.
We are talking about the youth. Mama, Africa is suffering because what are the sources that people are believing? The colonial stories,
right.
Or what their brothers, what we are speaking now, so that people
exactly.
who are speaking as our brothers do not brave through the Sahara Desert or do not take the Mediterranean Sea.
Right.
That's a cemetery we are calling.
This
is the worst postmodern genocide that is killing Africa, and I call this a generational destruction.
Right.
We are not only talking about those people who lost their life here. I've seen a lot of dry bones, dry people, dry skulls, more in the Sahara Desert that I cannot see here. And
right.
Anyone who are brave through never thought he is going to make it.
Yeah.
It was just on luck. Why do people have to be constrained to make this thing? Most of our brothers and sisters, what they do here is to go and take a picture in front of a Ferrari, and that's really disinformation, misinformation.
It's not true. It's
and
not
this
the
is
reality.
why this type of whatever you call it, irregular
right.
migration,
right.
whatever,
right.
those prejudices, I don't accept it. But
Welcome back. As you've seen for yourself, our Africans that have managed to cross over to Europe, especially those in Italy, has quite a different version to say. They blame our brothers for portraying a false image of Europe that is not as good as they portray on social media. Those of you taking pictures behind cars, beautiful homes, trying to pass across the message that where you are is quite good. Please, you've got to stop on this trend because it's destroying life back home. But again, like I mentioned, should we solely blame this huge migration on our African brothers abroad. Maybe it's time we think of the economic situation back home. Maybe it's time we think of our political atmosphere back home.
To flee their homes.
We have decided to leave our home because we don't really feel satisfied with home because of war, be it economic, social or political problems. At least I think Europe should send us a hand. We really need their hands.
This deadly journey might not stop anytime soon. I am afraid what we are saying now is just the tip of an iceberg. It's a little of what is to come, because more and more Africans will definitely attempt to cross over to Europe. They don't care what route they take. All that matters is how they've got to move over from Africa to Europe, because life back home is nothing to write home about. Life back home is not good at all. Therefore, collectively, we have to strive to give ourselves a better living standard. Yes, I agree, sometimes traveling abroad might actually help. But again, there are those that have actually stayed back home in the continent and they are able to make a good life back there. It's all on you. What are your priorities? What do you intend to achieve out there? Therefore, it's all on you to sit, reflect, and ask yourself, should traveling to Europe really be what you want to take, or should you stay back home and invest all your energy towards success? This is NDANGOH'S Diary. I call on you to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and share with friends and family. Thank you for watching. Until then, see you next time.